Welcome, everybody. Welcome if you're joining us on Zoom, Beth, Viv, and Claire, almost doubling our numbers. We'll begin, as always, with a Dharma glimpse this evening, one written by Dayamay, who isn't here, but Luna has agreed to read it for us. Thank you.
So this is called Natural Growth. I had been feeling frustrated with myself recently after a perceived failure on my part to master certain behaviours that can be destructive. The tendency for me is to aim high and overwhelm myself with great expectations about becoming pure and perfect, even though I know in my bones that it's not possible. I am perpetually fallible. As I was inwardly beating myself, I happened upon a teaching about natural growth. Trees were used as an analogy for the process by which nature forms organic matter by providing the conditions that allow growth to happen. The tree has soil, water, sunlight, and most importantly, time. The tree doesn't have to do anything. It is forged and shaped over decades of exposure to the elements, the harsh and bitter rain and wind, and the warmth and nourishment of the sun. The result is a simple, natural radiance that stands tall as a testament to the life force from which we all originate. This comforted me greatly. I knew that my need to feel in control of my own growth and healing was, to some extent, impeding a deeper, perhaps more important thread of an overall process. Maybe there is a value in just being where I am with it all, allowing myself to fail, while continuing to engage with the practice that feeds my roots and waters my leaves. Namo Amidabu.
So we move into meditation. And the invitation in meditation is to on the one hand, avoid pushing things away that appear, and on the other hand, avoid pulling them towards you, finding the still center point and noticing, oh, here's a sound, without going into storytelling about the sound. Here's a feeling, here's a sensation. Or maybe here's storytelling about the sound. Whatever you're noticing, taking that step back or inviting that space that allows you to come into the place. The curious, non-judgmental observer. Let's recite the Shakyamuni mantra together this evening. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. O sage, great sage of the Shakya clan. So calling out to the enlightened spirit of Shakyamuni Buddha, who started the Dharma wheel turn in the sage. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Swaha. 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 Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakyamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni 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 Shakyamuni Swaha. For refuge, I go to the Buddha.
For refuge, I go to the Buddha.
The one who is awake and full of light.
The one who is awake and full of light.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
For refuge, I go to the Dharma.
For refuge, I go to the Dharma.
All that guides us to wisdom and compassion.
All that guides us to wisdom and compassion.
Namo Dhamaya.
Namo Dhamma.
For refuge, I go to the Sangha.
For refuge, I go to the Sangha.
Those who live in the Buddha's light.
Those who live in the Buddha's light.
Namo Sangha.
Namo Sanghaya.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
I pray that I may not take life.
I pray that I may not take life.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
I pray that I may not steal.
I pray that I may not steal.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
I pray that I may not fall into sexual misconduct.
I pray that I may not fall into sexual misconduct.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
I pray that I may not fall into wrong speech.
I pray that I may not fall into wrong speech.
With faith in the three jewels,
With faith in the three jewels,
I pray that I may avoid intoxication.
I pray that I may avoid intoxication.
No blame.
No blame.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Love everything.
Love everything. Innumerable are sentient beings.
We vow to save them all.
Inexhaustible are deluded passions.
We vow to transform them all.
Immeasurable are the Dharma teachings.
We vow to master them all.
Infinite is the Buddha's way.
We vow to fulfill it completely. And when I was working in the garden earlier, I was listening to this week's episode of This American Life, which was a rerun from a year ago, but I haven't heard it. And I really, the kind of moral of the story of Act 3 that the host drew out really stayed with me. I mean, there were lots of things you could have drawn out, but this little nugget that they found, I found really appealing. So it's a story of a safe cracker, one of the best locksmiths in the United States, who's been interviewed. And he describes being called out to Minneapolis, to a huge estate, to open a very secure vault of somebody that's died. And it's all very hush-hush because it's Prince. And it's basically the bank vault that he had installed in his own house. So he arrives, and there's about a dozen people in front of the safe, so he becomes very nervous. He says, they've covered everything in plastic in case I'm going to blow up the door, which I'm definitely not going to do. And he describes not how to do it, but he describes finding the exact right spot to drill into with this spot the size of a pea in this door that is like 10 foot by 6 foot wide, and he drills into it, and then he hits the so-called hard plate. So has to switch out for a drill with a diamond tip, and then drills for another hour, because if the plate overheats, it essentially locks down the safe in a way that nobody can get into. So he drills very slowly for the next hour with all these people watching. He puts his endoscope through this hole and is able to then see where the tumblers are, where the numbers fall as they fall into place. And a couple of hours later, after he started, the whole thing swings open. And he says, I've learned over the years from doing this kind of job before, not to look in the safe. Often it's where people keep things they don't want their loved ones to find, you know. He said, but I hear the archivist take an intake of breath, and then I look, and it's a big space. It's as bigger than many bank vaults, like 40 foot by 20 foot wide, full of shelves, full of tapes of music that haven't been released. Hours and hours of music. And they've just released a few tracks, edited tracks since then. And the interviewer said, isn't it funny how here are two people, both at the top of their field, both at the top of their game, both doing what they're called to do, expressing their gifts, kind of really in tune with the thing that they're supposed to be offering. I'm paraphrasing. And one of whom we know loads about because his gift is putting all of these amazing songs into the world. And the other one we know nothing about because his gift is about being really quiet and doing these really important jobs for people all over the world. Both equally important and valued, but received by the world in very different ways. And I think that was partly in my mind this evening, because I was conscious of how busy the Shining was being a few weeks ago for a number of weeks. And then, 10 minutes before practice, there were just 3 of us here. And then 5 minutes before, there were 4 of us. And then Helen arrived and I thought, okay, fine. Actually, and there's 3 people on Zoom. And a few years ago, we'd have been really happy with these numbers, but compared to when there were 15 people in the room and plus people on Zoom, it feels quiet. It's hard to know when we really tune in and do what we're called to do, whether it's going to turn out that we become Prince or a locksmith that nobody's ever heard of. A lot of that isn't within our control. But when we are really tuned in and responding to the Buddha's call, whether we get a big fanfare or not, the offering is just as valuable. No more need to do. Namo Amida Bhutto. Namo Amida Bhutto. Namo Amida Bhutto. Namo Amida. Namo Amida.
In gratitude, we offer this incense to all beings and bodhisattvas throughout space and time. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting our careful efforts, our wholehearted awareness, and the fruits of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings to Buddhas and bodhisattvas, may we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true power.
Blessed by Amitabha's light, may we care for all living things and the holy earth. And may we to goodness, thanks for everything.
Well,
Well, we all